In 2008, Tracy Bigford opened MT Bottle in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Due to licensing issues, MT Bottle only served beer, lacking the proper license for liquor. Shortly after that, Tracy fell in love and married his bar manager, Gina. Tracy was also something of an engineer, as he crafted the bar and the refrigeration system on his own, including a conduit for discarded bottles to fall directly into the garbage. Redneck engineering, as he coins it. Such cost-saving tactics served him well until his customers got bored with his beer-only service. Also, Tracy made a weird decision to implement a BYOB, bring your own booze, meaning customers could bring their own bottles to the bar. Since then, many regulars have started bringing their own beer to avoid paying, depriving the bar of much-needed revenue. As a result, MT Bottle began to sink into debt. Gina had to find a second job to keep her business and marriage afloat. When Jon set out to rescue this bar in 2013, he first sent a couple of local guys to go undercover in the bar. Things were worse than Taffer thought. The bar was $250,000 in debt due to the lack of a liquor license. Tracy has had to resort to alternative measures to make money. He's hired attractive waitresses who, for $5, will flash patrons at the bar. As for Taffer's inspection, he discovered that the bar's basement was dirty, musty, and disorganized. Not to mention a small internal lake that would shut down the bar if it led to black mold. Tracy initially disagreed with Taffer's assessment of MT Bottle, but eventually came around to some of his ideas. As a result, MT Bottles became Bottles and Cans. What's more, the bar now has a full liquor license, so it can serve not only a wide selection of beers and wines, but also Jon Taffer's favorite, cocktails. The interior of Bottles and Cans was updated with modern decor, while at the same time keeping some of the best aspects of Tracy's redneck engineering intact. After Jon's visit, things began to improve for the bar, as having a liquor license meant a 61% increase in sales revenue for Tracy and Gina. 3 years later, in 2016, Lisa Marie Joyce, a bar consultant for the show, visited Bottles and Cans to check in on their progress. When she first entered, she was pleasantly surprised. Other than adding back MT to the name to make it MT Bottles and Cans, everything else was as Jon left it. But when Lisa Marie orders a cocktail, she finds out the bar lost a liquor license again.
I wish they had liquor. Bloody Marys, tequila, yes.
It turns out that the county lines were redrawn geographically, which meant that the bar ended up in a dry county that does not allow hard liquor to be sold. Believe it or not, there are several parts of the United States that are dry counties that either somewhat or entirely ban the sale of alcoholic beverages still. Tennessee is one of only 2 states, along with Kansas, that is entirely dry by default. Individual counties must apply for licenses. Losing the liquor license marked a decline for the bar from which Tracy, Gina, and the staff could not recover, as they lost their good reputation and drowned in more financial problems. In April 2019, Tracy passed away at St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital at the age of 59 after battling an unrevealed illness. 2 sons and 1 daughter survived Tracy, although the obituary did not mention anything about Gina. I found no information regarding a divorce, and until the bar closed, she was still listed as one of the owners. Speaking of which, Tracy's death and financial problems forced Gina to sell MT Bottles and Cans in September 2019. But not before having a farewell with the locals. To this day, the former location of the bar is occupied by Domino's Pizza restaurant. Beyond that, MT Bottles and Cans had a long 11-year run in a somewhat remote area. I respect the owners and staff for that accomplishment. My condolences to Tracy's family. He seemed like a great guy, and we will undoubtedly miss his ingenuity. The next tragic case on this list is Chloe Trueheart, a manager who surprised Jon during his visit to a bar in Austin, Texas. We're talking about HeadHunters, a tiki bar opened in 2003 by Steve Ricci, an engineer who wanted to try his hand at the bar business. At first, the bar did quite well, as it was one of the few local bars that offered live music in the Austin area at that time. Over time, though, competitors with live music started to appear all over Austin, meaning the unique advantage HeadHunters had vanished. Steve didn't know what to do about the problem, allowing his bar to sink into oblivion and worse, fill. With so much debt on his shoulders, he decided to call Jon Taffer. Jon first sends his wife Nicole Taffer in for undercover reconnaissance. In the bar, she's subjected to a terrible heavy metal show. And in general, the bar is pretty disgusting, and Nicole doesn't want to be there any longer than she has to be. But definitely, the worst discovery was dead cockroaches inside liquor bottles, the same liquor that Nicole almost drank. For his part, Steve defended himself by claiming that there are bugs all over the United States, and that it's just part of the charm of his bar. I think that sums up what kind of owner Steve was, who also didn't give his employees salaries because he thought tips were enough. Among those loyal employees was Chloe, one of the HeadHunters bartenders who learned pretty quickly from staff training and showed great skill during the relaunch. Speaking of changes, Taffer ordered a thorough cleaning of the bar to cleanse the gunk and grime, and most importantly, the vermin infestation. After that, he renamed the bar Metal and Lace, a Victorian-era steampunk-themed concept. Thanks to those changes, along with Chloe's leadership with the rest of the staff, Metal and Lace had a successful relaunch, even though Steve wasn't up to the challenge. Therefore, Taffer said goodbye only to Chloe, pointing to her as the true leader of the bar. Steve recognized that too, as weeks after Taffer's visit, he appointed Chloe as the manager, though that was the only good thing he did. Although the customers were happy with the changes, Steve was still a lousy owner. He didn't pay his employees fairly, and they had to find new jobs. Ultimately, HeadHunters closed in mid-2014, and while Steve gave no official statement as to why, the Austin Chronicle revealed that he couldn't afford the lease from the building's new owner. On the other hand, Chloe continued her career as a bartender, but what you might not have known is that she also had a brief stint in Hollywood as a stunt double. Specifically, she was a stunt double for Drew Barrymore in Whip It, a 2009 film. She also appeared in a 2013 documentary called Leave It on the Track, dedicated to women who competed in roller derby tournaments. She seemed to lead a fairly quiet life, yet in August 2022, she made a tragic decision at 37. Her obituary has no official information, but according to Reddit rumors, Chloe took her own life. In that same Reddit post, we can see many comments from friends, acquaintances, and viewers of Bar Rescue, remembering her as a great person and wishing her eternal rest. This reminds us that we should never take someone's mental state for granted. We should always be concerned about the mental health of our loved ones. We don't know what hell may be going through their mind, and if you are going through one, please don't be afraid to ask for help. Unfortunately, the next case is also a bartender who left the world all too early. Stix and Stones was a Sugar Creek, Missouri bar opened in 2008 by Billy Banks, a car lover who wanted to have a business with a car theme. Some places like the Keating Hotel and Hotel Hell prove that car themes can be a bad idea. Despite that, Billy was a pretty decent manager, and as such, his bar was very successful. Unfortunately, he had to stop working when he was diagnosed with cancer, so he put his business into the hands of the managers and staff. When his cancer was almost gone, Billy returned to Stix and Stones, only to discover that it was a disaster because the staff was irresponsible. One of the most problematic employees was Stephanie Razo, who used to drink and smoke on the job. The ash from her smoke would even end up in the drinks. But she wasn't the only one responsible for the chaos. The kitchen managers never cleaned, and it looked like a classic kitchen nightmares kitchen, full of grease in a very disgusting and unpleasant environment. Fortunately, there is nothing Jon Taffer can't solve, and he was able to get the bar back on the right track with several improvements. The first was training the staff to prepare proper cocktails along with an improved food menu. Taffer added a new, brighter decor for the interior, and even a smoke machine for added effect. The business was rebranded as the Pit Stop Bar and Barbecue, honoring Billy's original theme. Last but not least, Razo really improved herself, dropping the bad habits during service by delivering top-notch drinks during the relaunch. She just needed a little push. It looked like Stix and Stones had a bright future, but just weeks after Taffer's visit, Billy put the bar up for sale. Still, Stix and Stones remained open until 2020, when it closed for unknown reasons, but probably because of the pandemic. It doesn't look like Billy got a buyer either, as the most recent Google Maps photo shows the place is still empty with the Stix and Stones sign up. Sadly, Stephanie died in September 2019 at age 32, just a few months after Taffer's visit and shortly after the episode aired. The Kansas City Daily shed some light on the cause of the death, revealing that she had a substance abuse problem dating back some time. Also, on the show, she felt that the show's producers wanted to make her the villain of the episode, so she played along with it. It's fine, it's fake. They wanted me wasted. It was all set up. I knew walking into it that I was going to be the bad girl employee or whatever. They wanted a show. I gave them a show. I got wasted. Only because they were telling me to take shots. They wanted me to be a mess. I came across comments from Sugar Creek people blaming the show for Stephanie's death, especially since neither Taffer nor anyone around her expressed condolences on social media. I understand they must have felt very sad, but I don't think that was the reason. When it comes to substance abuse, it is a very complex case. In her obituary, we can see that her part-time job was at Sticks and Stones, while her main job was an automotive software salesperson at Dealer Q. She was also a mother of 2 boys. In that one episode of Bar Rescue, she commanded the entire thing. Everyone else there was just flat. If I lived in the area, I would have gone to this bar when it was open just to see her. It's a real shame to lose her at such a young age, and with so many loved ones around her. We end with one of the show's most eccentric owners, who passed away under potentially mysterious circumstances. In 1993, businessman Paul San Filipo purchased Gipsy, the first gay bar in Las Vegas that started all the way back in 1977. For the first few years, the bar had done quite well for Paul, earning up to $160,000 per month at its peak. At one point, it was the place for the gay community in Las Vegas. The main highlight was the drag show, which drew crowds on a nightly basis. It seemed like Gypsy's was a party that would never stop. However, in the late 1990s, many numerous mega clubs and resorts opened up in Las Vegas. As a result, small, old-school places like Gipsy couldn't really keep up, as this new generation of high-end, ultra lounges drew crowds away from the once popular Gipsy nightclub. As his business collapsed, Paul started drinking heavily during work hours to cope. He also had some questionable managerial practices, often treating his employees poorly. He would even disappear for weeks while his employees were expected to keep the business afloat. After years of dealing with those problems, the situation became unattainable in 2013, when the bar had racked up $2 million in debt as a result of fines for not paying taxes on their live entertainment, a requirement in Las Vegas. Paul had no choice but to call Jon Taffer to help him turn things around. Taffer, as usual, first sent in some spies to get an honest impression of the bar. It was pretty bad. They had no glass cups because Paul kept smashing them in his drunken rages. Furthermore, they lacked a lot of essential ingredients to make basic cocktails that you could get anywhere, so the drinks were disappointing. For his part, Paul was quite drunk, giving us one of the show's most hilarious moments.
Brandon! Brandon! What? Put some Janet Jackson on.
Once Taffer makes his entrance, he makes Paul agree not to get drunk while he is there, or else he will leave without fixing his bar. Paul agrees to this condition, and as a result, his demeanor improved with his staff significantly. With that out of the way, Taffer's team gets to work renovating the bar with a 1950s Miami Beach theme. Taffer tells Paul that it is time for a new direction, and as such, he must drop the Gipsy name. Paul and the rest of the staff are resistant to changing the name due to its historical significance in the community. Taffer reminds them that this is Vegas, and numerous hotels have come and gone in the years, to be torn down and replaced by something new. Therefore, he renamed it SBLV, an acronym for South Beach, Las Vegas. Along with a bright yellow interior renovation, Taffer also eliminated the popular 45-minute drag show. He replaced it with a series of shorter shows, lasting just 3 minutes at a time, done in bursts throughout the evening. This way, sales at the bar would not completely crash during one big show that draws everyone's attention away. Although his staff seemed somewhat happy with the changes, Paul was so disappointed that he walked out of the bar before the relaunch and did not return. Just days after Taffer's visit, Paul closed Gipsy Bar because he hated the changes so much. He relocated the entire staff to work over at Piranha, the other club he owned. The changes that Taffer and his team made did not go over so well with the staff nor the regular patrons. Many took offense to a neon sign that read, "Gay Old Time," that the bar rescue team installed behind the bar. This was considered a slap in the face to the gay community by an outsider who felt they didn't quite understand the target market. They actually edited this sign out of the episode when it aired, so you can't see it. A staff member went on to further comment about the bar rescue renovation, saying that the majority of the money was spent on exterior paint and signage lighting. Inside the bar, all they did was drape a bunch of fabric, fill the dance floor with furniture, and slap on some paint. Oh, and that hideous "Gay Old Time" sign, said the employee. In January 2014, Paul shared his $2 million makeover plan for a major overhaul of the club's interior to rebrand it as a daytime ultra lounge. However, this project faced a setback when the county authorities requested additional land for a neighboring expansion, which coincided with the pool excavation site for the nightclub. Additionally, several years of complications with contractors and legal disputes slowed down the remodeling process. In 2020, he decided it would be easier to just demolish the building rather than trying to bring it up to modern standards. The original building for the 1970s was taken down to make way to build a brand new 10,000 square foot Gipsy's from the ground up. The pandemic would further slow down the rebuilding of the new Gipsy's. In 2022, Paul announced formal plans for the new Gipsy's. The plans included a new, single-story nightclub and an outdoor carousel bar. There is potential for an upper-level disco to be considered as a future addition. Unfortunately, shortly after the 2022 release of the plans for the new Gipsy's, Paul unexpectedly passed away at the age of 58. While his obituary indicates he passed away peacefully, alluding that he died in his sleep, Las Vegas police released a report that they are investigating his case. So far, no further official information has been released, but considering that he died recently, the investigation is still ongoing. Beyond that, Paul left a profound mark on the LGBTQ community in Las Vegas and was one of the pioneers in the gay nightclub industry. Based on my online research, there's currently a bar under construction on the location. Gipsy's website appears to be non-functional, and the Facebook page still indicates that the new club is expected to open in 2022. Interestingly, I also found a now hiring post on Gipsy's Facebook page from October 2023 seeking staff for the new Gipsy's. However, the post doesn't provide any further details about the future of Gipsy's. The question that remains is, will Gipsy's ever be built, fulfilling Paul's dream?